Hi everyone. Today we will do the textbook exercises from the story The Hero of Haarlem. In case you have not watched the earlier video that I did, in which I have read and explained the story, then here is an easy link to it. Please go through that video first before you come to this one. If you have watched that one and you have done your homework well, if you have read the lesson over and over again and you think you can answer all the questions related to this story, then let's go ahead with today's lesson. Are you ready to begin? Let's start. So this is what Haarlem looks like. Now let's begin with the exercises. This was the first one. It's making connections and their quick answers. Fill in the story map given below. So you have to answer questions related to the setting, the problem or conflict, the characters, the solution or resolution. So let's start with the setting. Where does the story take place? That's easy, isn't it? The story takes place in Haarlem, Netherlands. Then the time. When does the story take place? Well, we aren't given an exact date, but it is mentioned how long ago. So the story takes place many years ago. What about the characters? Who are the people in the story? The people in the story are Hans, Hans's mother, Hans's father, and Mr. Jansen. What about the problem or conflict? What happened to the character? What happened to the main character, Hans? Hans saw a hole in the dike and placed his fist in it until help arrived. And the solution or resolution, that means how was the problem solved? Mr. Jansen was walking his dog when he saw Hans standing with his fist in the hole in the dike. He called some people to help. That is how the problem was solved. Now, this entire thing is called a story map. Why is it called a story map? Because it is just like a map like you have in geography. It maps out the entire story in brief. So you know that the story took place in Haarlem many years ago, and the main character was Hans, but there were other characters in the story too. That is Hans's mother, Hans's father, and Mr. Jansen. And then, you know, the main part of the story is that Hans saw a hole in the dike and placed his fist in it to save the city, because otherwise the water would have trickled through that hole and flooded the entire city. Then you need to know how he was discovered, how the problem was solved. So Mr. Jansen happened to be walking his dog, and of course, there was hardly anyone around because it was very cold and windy and raining. But Mr. Jansen had to come out to walk his dog, and that's when he saw Hans standing with his fist in the hole in the dike, and he immediately called a group of people to help. That's how the problem was solved. Let's go further. Complete the following sentences. Dikes are built so that Hans's mother sent cake and bread to Mr. Jansen because Hans enjoyed Mr. Jansen's company because as he walked home, Hans was very cold and wet. This is why he was thinking about. Now, to answer these questions, you will have to know the text very well. So I hope you have read it over and over again because that is the best way to learn English literature. So let's begin with the first one. Dikes were built so that the seawater would not rush into the city and flood it. Because I hope you remember that Haarlem was below sea level. The second one, Hans's mother sent cake and bread to Mr. Jansen because he lived alone. He had no one to bake for him. Hans enjoyed Mr. Jansen's company because he told interesting stories. D. As he walked home, Hans was very cold and wet. This is why he was thinking about two things: a warm dinner and a cozy bed. Okay, let's move on. Then you have reference to context. What is reference to context? A small part of the text is given to you, and then there are questions asked based on that part of the text. However, the answers may not be found directly in that part of the text. It may be related to that part of the text, but not found there directly. So we come back to what I said earlier. If you want to do well in English literature, you need to read the text over and over again. You need to know all the details. You need to understand the story before you attempt any questions. So let's see how well you can do this. While the wind turned the windmills and the rain watered the tulips, the strained and swollen dikes kept filling. The first question: apart from the dikes, which two other things mentioned in these lines tell us where the story is set? This is easy because the answer is in the lines. So here's your answer. The windmills and the tulips tell us where the story is set. Those are the two other things in the line. B. What does the author mean by saying the dikes were swollen? Swollen. The answer: the dikes were swollen means that they were holding a lot of water, more than they usually did. C. What did Hans wonder when he saw the dikes? Hans wondered who would take care of the dikes if something went wrong, since his father was away. Got it? Let's go to the next one. This is the fourth question. Again, it is a reference to context question, so there is a part of the text given to you. My lad, said Mr. Jansen, first I'll take you home and then I'll tell everyone of the boy who saved the town. A. Where was Mr. Jansen when he said these lines? Now you're talking about only this part of the lesson where these lines are from. Let me say once again that you need to know the text very well in order to answer all the questions correctly. So in case you haven't read the story well, please do so. The first answer: Mr. Jansen was standing beside Hans at the dikes. B. Who did Mr. Jansen call my lad? Why did he want to get him home? The answer: Mr. Jansen called Hans my lad. He wanted to get Hans home because he had been standing there in the cold and getting wet in the rain. He needed to get warm and dry. This line shows that Mr. Jansen was angry with the boy, proud of the boy, or scared of the boy. This is easy. Proud of the boy is the right answer. He was definitely not angry with Hans, neither was he scared of him. D. What do you think Mr. Jansen told the people of Haarlem? Use your imagination. If you were in his place, what would you say? And the answer is, Mr. Jansen definitely told the people of Haarlem how brave Hans had been and how he had saved their city. Got it? So with this, we've come to the end of all the exercises in your textbook, and I do hope you did well. If you did, here's a star for you, and the star is smiling. You have a nice big smiley face. If you feel that you have not done as well as you hoped to do, you know what you need to do then. I'll say it one more time. Read the text over and over again. It's never enough. Not once or twice or thrice. Read it over and over again. Make it like a daily practice. Before you go to bed at night, read the text. All right. So I'll end here for now, and we'll meet again very soon. Until we do take care of yourselves. Bye.